The culture of Rome refers to the arts, high culture, language, religion, politics, libraries, cuisine, architecture and fashion in Rome, Italy. Rome was supposedly founded in 753 BC and ever since has been the capital of the Roman Empire, one of the main centers of Christianity, the home of the Roman Catholic Church and the seat of the Italian Republic. Due to its historical and social importance, Rome is often nicknamed the Caput Mundi, or capital of the world. The arts, architecture and city layout. Ancient Rome. One of the symbols of Rome is the Colosseum, the largest amphitheater ever built in the Roman Empire. Originally capable of seating 60,000 spectators, it was used for gladiatorial combat. The list of the very important monuments of ancient Rome includes the Roman Forum, the Domus Aurea, the Pantheon, Trajan's Column, Trajan's Market, the several catacombs area, the Circus Maximus, the Baths of Caracalla, Castel Sant'Angelo, the Mausoleum of Augustus, the Ara Paces, the Arch of Constantine, the Pyramid of Cestius, and the Bocca della Verita. Medieval. Often overlooked, Rome's medieval heritage is one of the largest in Italian cities. Later notable medieval mosaic and fresco art can be also found in the churches of Santa Maria in Trastevere, Santi Quattro Coronatia and Santa Prassede. Lay buildings include a number of towers, the largest being the Tor del Milese and the Tor dei Conti, both next the Roman Forum, and the huge staircase leading to the Basilica of Santa Maria in Araceli. Renaissance and Baroque. Rome was a major world center of the Renaissance, second only to Florence, and was profoundly affected by the movement. The most impressive masterpiece of Renaissance architecture in Rome is the Piazza del Campidoglio by Michelangelo, along with the Palazzo Senatorio, seat of the city government. During this period, the great aristocratic families of Rome used to build opulent dwellings as the Palazzo del Quirinale, the Palazzo Venezia, the Palazzo Farnese, the Palazzo Barberini, the Palazzo Chigi, the Palazzo Spada, the Palazzo della Cancelleria, and the Villa Farnesina. Rome is also famous for her huge and majestic squares, many of which were built in the 17th century. The principal squares are Piazza Navona, Piazza di Spagna, Campo de' Fiori, Piazza Venezia, Piazza Farnese and Piazza della Minerva. One of the most emblematic examples of the Baroque art is the Fontana di Trevi by Nicola Salvi. Other notable Baroque palaces of 17th century are the Palazzo Madama, now seat of the Italian Senate, and the Palazzo Montecitorio, now seat of the Chamber of Deputies of Italy. Neoclassicism. In 1870, Rome became capital city of the new Kingdom of Italy. During this time, Neoclassicism, a building style influenced by the architecture of antiquity, became a predominant influence in Roman architecture. In this period, many great palaces in neoclassical styles were built to host ministries, embassies and other governing agencies. One of the best-known symbols of Roman neoclassicism is the monument of Vittorio Emanuele II, or Altar of Fatherland, where the grave of the unknown soldier, that represents the 650,000 Italians that fell in World War I, is located. Fascist architecture. The fascist regime that ruled in Italy between 1922 and 1943 developed an architectural style which was characterized by its linkages with ancient Rome architecture. The most important fascist site in Rome is the EUR district, built in 1935. It was originally conceived for the 1942 World Exhibition, and was called E42. However, the World Exhibition never took place because Italy entered the Second World War in 1940. The most representative building of the fascist style at EUR is the Palazzo della Civiltà Italiana, the iconic design of which has been labeled the cubic or square Colosseum. After World War II, The Roman authorities found that they already had the seed of an off-center business district that other capitals were still planning. Also, the Palazzo della Farnesina, the actual seat of Italian foreign ministry, was designed in 1935 in fascist style. Vatican City. The city of Rome surrounds the Vatican City, the enclave of the Holy See, which is a separate sovereign state. It hosts St. Peter's Square with the St. Peter's Basilica. The open space before the basilica was redesigned by Gian Lorenzo Bernini, from 1656 to 1667, under the direction of Pope Alexander VII, as a forecourt, designed so that the greatest number of people could see the Pope give his blessing, either from the middle of the facade of the church or from a window in the Vatican Palace. In Vatican City there are also the Vatican Library, Vatican museums with the Sistine Chapel, the Raphael Rooms and other important works of Leonardo da Vinci, Raphael, Giotto, and Botticelli. Vatican City is an independent country situated inside Rome. Museums and galleries. The most important museums and galleries of Rome include the National Museum of Rome, the Museum of Roman Civilization, the Villa Giulia National Etruscan Museum, the Capitoline Museums, the Borghese Gallery, the Museum of Castel Sant'Angelo, and the National Gallery of Modern Art. Villas and gardens. The center of Rome is surrounded by some large green areas and opulent ancient villas, which are the remains of the crowns of villas which encircled the papal city. Most of them were largely destroyed by real estate speculation at the end of the 19th century. The most important among the surviving ones are Villa Borghese, with a large landscape garden in the naturalistic 19th century English style, containing a number of buildings, museums and attractions. Villa Ada, the largest public landscaped park of Rome. Villa Doria Pamphili, the second largest with an area of 1.8 square kilometers. Villa Torlonia, a splendid example of Art Nouveau mansion that was the Roman residence of Benito Mussolini. Villa Albani, commissioned by Cardinal Alessandro Albani to house his collection of antiquities and Roman sculpture, which soon filled the casino that faced the villa down a series of formal parterres. Art Rome contains a vast and impressive collection of art, sculpture, fountains, mosaics, frescoes, and paintings, from all different periods. Rome first became a major artistic center during ancient Rome, with forms of important Roman art such as architecture, painting, sculpture and mosaic work, metal work, coined iron gem engraving, ivory carvings, figurine glass, pottery, and book illustrations are considered to be minor forms of Roman artwork. Rome later became a major center of Renaissance art, since the popes spent vast sums of money for the constructions of grandiose basilicas, palaces, piazzas and public buildings in general. Rome became one of Europe's major centers of Renaissance artwork, second only to Florence, and able to compare to other major cities and cultural centers, such as Paris and Venice. The city was affected greatly by the Baroque, and Rome became the home of numerous artists and architects, such as Bernini, Caravaggio, Carracci, Borromina and Cortona, to name a few. In the late 18th century and early 19th century, the city was one of the centers of the Grand Tour, when wealthy, young English and other European aristocrats visited the city to learn about ancient Roman culture, art, philosophy and architecture. Rome hosted a great number of neoclassical and rococo artists, such as Panini and Bernardo Bellotto. Today, the city is a major artistic center, with numerous art institutes and museums. Cinema. Rome hosts the Cinecittà Studios, the largest film and television production facility in continental Europe and the center of the Italian cinema, where a large number of today's biggest box office hits are filmed. The 99-acre studio complex is 5.6 miles from the center of Rome and is part of one of the biggest production communities in the world, second only to Hollywood, with well over 5,000 professionals, from period costume makers to visual effects specialists, More than 3,000 productions have been made on its lot, from recent features like The Passion of the Christ, Gangs of New York, Adult Swim, The Life Aquatic and Dino De Laurentiis Decameron, to such cinema classics as Ben-Hur, Cleopatra, and the films of Federico Fellini. Founded in 1937 by Benito Mussolini, the studios were bombed by the Western Allies during the Second World War. In the 1950s, Cinecittà was the filming location for several larger, American film productions, and subsequently became the studio most closely associated with Federico Fellini. Today Cinecittà is the only studio in the world with pre-production, production, and full post-production facilities on one lot, allowing directors and producers to walk in with their script and walk out with a completed film. Fashion Rome is widely recognized as one of the world's fashion capitals. Major luxury fashion houses and jewelry chains, including Bulgari, Fendi, Laura Biagiotti and Brioni, are headquartered in the city, or were founded there, and other major labels, including Chanel, Prada, Dolce & Gabbana, Armani and Versace have luxury boutiques in Rome, primarily on Via dei Condotti. Religion. Much like the rest of Italy, Rome is predominantly Roman Catholic. Although Rome is home to the Vatican City and St. Peter's Basilica, Rome's cathedral is the Basilica of St. John Lateran, located to the southeast of the city centre. There are around 900 churches in Rome in total, aside from the cathedral itself. Some others of note include the Basilica di Santa Maria Maggiore, the Basilica of St. Paul outside the walls, the Basilica di San Clemente, San Carlo alla Quattro Fontane and the Church of the Gesù. There are also the ancient catacombs of Rome underneath the city. Numerous highly important religious educational institutions are also in Rome, such as the Pontifical Lateran University, Pontifical Biblical Institute, Pontifical Gregorian University, and Pontifical Oriental Institute. The territory of Vatican City is part of the Mons Vaticanus, and of the adjacent former Vatican Fields, where St. Peter's Basilica, the Apostolic Palace, the Sistine Chapel, and museums were built, along with various other buildings. The area was part of the Roman Rione of Borgo until 1929. Being separated from the city, on the west bank of the Tiber River, the area was an outcrop of the city that was protected by being included within the walls of Leo IV, and later expanded by the current fortification walls of Paul III, Pius IV, Urban VIII. When the Lateran Treaty of 1929 that gave the state its present form was being prepared, the boundaries of the proposed territory was influenced by the fact that much of it was all but enclosed by this loop. For some tracts of the frontier, there was no wall, but the line of certain buildings supplied part of the boundary, and for a small part of the frontier a modern wall was constructed. The territory includes St. Peter's Square, distinguished from the territory of Italy only by a white line along the limit of the square, where it touches Piazza Pio XII. St. Peter's Square is reached through the Via della Conciliazione, which runs from the Tiber River to St. Peter's. This grand approach was constructed by Benito Mussolini after the conclusion of the Lateran Treaty. According to the Lateran Treaty, certain properties of the Holy See that are located in Italian territory, most notably Castel Gandolfo and the major basilicas, enjoy extraterritorial status similar to that of foreign embassies. In recent years, the Islamic community has grown significantly, in great part due to immigration from North African and Middle Eastern countries into the city. As a consequence of this trend, the Comune promoted the building of the largest mosque in Europe, which was designed by architect Paolo Portoesi and inaugurated on June 21, 1995. Language. The original language of Rome was Latin, which evolved during the Middle Ages into Italian. The latter emerged as the confluence of various regional dialects, among which the Tuscan dialect predominated. But the population of Rome also developed its own dialect, the Romanesco. The ancient Romanesco, used during the Middle Ages, was a southern Italian dialect, very close to the Neapolitan. The influence of the Florentine culture during the Renaissance, and, above all, the immigration to Rome of many Florentines who were among the two Medici Pope suite, caused a strong change of the dialect, which resembled more the Tuscan varieties. This remained largely confined to Rome until the 19th century, but then expanded other zones of Lazio, from the beginning of the 20th century. Thanks to the rising population of Rome and to better transportation systems. As a consequence, Romanesco abandoned its traditional forms to mutate into the dialect spoken within the city, which is more similar to Standard Italian, although remaining distinct from other Romanesco-influenced local dialects of Lazio. Dialectal literature in the traditional form Romanesco includes the works of such authors as Giuseppe Gioacchino, Trilassa, and Cesare Pasquarella. Contemporary Romanesco is mainly represented by popular actors such as Aldo Fabrizi, Alberto Sordi, Nino Manfredi, Anna Magnana, Gigi Proietti, Enrico Montesano, and Carlo Verdun. Entertainment and performing arts. Rome is an important center for music, and it has an intense musical scene, including several prestigious music conservatories and theaters. It hosts the Accademia Nazionale di Santa Cecilia, for which new concert halls have been built in the new Parco della Musica, one of the largest musical venues in the world. Rome also has an opera house, the Teatro dell'Opera di Roma, as well as several minor musical institutions. The city also played host to the Eurovision Song Contest in 1991 and the MTV Europe Music Awards in 2004. Rome has also had a major impact in music history. The Roman School was a group of composers of predominantly church music, which were active in the city during the 16th and 17th centuries, therefore spanning the late Renaissance and early Baroque eras. The term also refers to the music they produced. Many of the composers had a direct connection to the Vatican and the Papal Chapel. Though they worked at several churches, stylistically they are often contrasted with the Venetian school of composers, a concurrent movement which was much more progressive. By far the most famous composer of the Roman school is Giovanni Pierluigi da Palestrina, whose name has been associated for 400 years with smooth, clear, polyphonic perfection. However, there were other composers working in Rome, and in a variety of styles and forms. Libraries. Writing proliferated in Imperial Rome. Examples of writing are graffiti, inscriptions on altars and sarcophagi. The first great Roman libraries were formed by treasure acquired through warfare, including the library founded by Aemilius Paulus after he won a campaign against Macedonia. However, those libraries were not open to the public. The first public library was not created until the time of Julius Caesar. The esteem for books held by aristocratic Romans kept increasing, though the most common form of reading to read aloud from papyrus scrolls. Wealthy Romans who liked to read would employ lectors to read those scrolls or keep a slave to read the scrolls.